All right. Hello. Welcome to Shamelessly V, where healing is loud, awakening is wild, and living is unapologetic. I'm your host, V Vajne. Vaj, whatever it is you want to call me, just not vagina. And I'm here today because I had something that's been on my mind. Okay. I'm in a beautiful relationship. I love my boyfriend dearly, but I feel like I have a lot of toxic tendencies and maybe they're not like shining through. But I have this like internal battle that I'm going through, like trying to make sure I'm very self aware of these things. I've been in nothing but toxic relationships until this one, excuse me. And I don't know, like I really want to find my person. And for me to do that, I have to work through these like internal battles that I'm having and get rid of all these bad tendencies that I have from my past relationships because this one is not toxic, not at all. And my last relationships were nothing but toxic. Like there was no love in those ones. And it also doesn't help that we live in a world where everybody makes you feel like you're replaceable and there's a next person waiting and there's so many options. We have so many dating shows that do not actually care about the people finding their person. They're just doing whatever it takes to make a buck. And what makes a buck? Drama, toxic relationships. That's what we care about watching on TV because that's what resonates with us. And of course, like in a sick way, it's like when we watch these shows, you're never really rooting for, you don't really watch the show to watch people who are like, oh, I'm happily in love. No, you watch to see all the drama that's going on and you're like rooting. Like our favorites are usually like the toxic couples. It's crazy. And I'm not saying that that is like the reason I am the way that I am, but I know that I've watched so many of these shows, especially like growing up. There was nothing but those funny, crazy dating shows, and I was obsessed with them. And I had a terrible role model for what love is. And yeah, so here I am, 27 years old, and I'm done with that. And I think the first step to getting past these toxic relationships is to like understand where they stem from and what's going on internally, because then you can kind of point out what's happening and yeah, call it out. Call it out and be like, okay, maybe it's not me. If you go around naive and like you just, I don't know why I'm always in these toxic relationships and oh my God, I only date these kind of guys. I don't know what's going on. You're never going to stop. Like it's really never going to stop. Like you have to really be able to acknowledge that you are also a part of these toxic relationships and you play a part in this the grand scheme of it. You may not be the person who is doing the bad, I'm not gonna say bad stuff because what's good and bad, but you may not be the person who is, let's say, cheating or saying mean things. I don't know what else goes on in toxic relationships. The instigator, right? I'll just say you may not be the instigator, but there is a dynamic to it and you are also a part of it. I don't know how many times I can say a part of it. I was never the instigator, but I will say I fed into that ego. And I was needing a lot more internal. I was needing love and I was needing security and I was looking for it in the wrong places. And even when I had good guys, I couldn't recognize what it was supposed to feel. It felt foreign in my body. It literally felt foreign in my body. And it was hard for me to accept like a good, healthy relationship, which is why it took me so long. And now here I am in a good, healthy relationship. And I'm not going to say I'm struggling, but I am having some things that are coming up. And I don't know. I just want to work through those. And I figured what better way to work through it than on camera with people I don't know. Yes. Less judgment. Just kidding. Way more judgment. But here we go. So there's 3 hormones, and that is going to be dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin, which is the dual of neurotransmitter and hormone. So we'll start with dopamine. Dopamine is going to be your pleasure chemical. This one is released when you have sex, when you eat chocolate, when you're winning something, when you have new love, when you're getting love bombed, when you get likes on Instagram, when you do a fucking line of cocaine. Okay? So when you do a line of cocaine, you get the same dopamine hit as you do when you get a like on Instagram. Ain't that something? That's something. So what does it play into these toxic relationships? Well, it happens because it doesn't really matter how you get the high. Your body just craves that high. So let's say your boo thang cheats on you, right? I'll use a lot of my own examples because I had like a lot of I have a lot of good ones to pull from. I don't know if this one's a necessary example, but let's say your boyfriend cheats on you and you're like, okay, I'm done with you. I never want to talk to you again. Fuck you. And then you guys don't talk for like 3 days. Then your dopamine drops. But then he texts you again. Boom. And even though you know that like there's probably nothing good that could come from that message, you're still like every single time your phone rings, you're like, is it him? Is it him? Is it him? Okay. Actually, this is a personal experience. This is totally happened to me. He literally fucked my best friend, my bestie. But I was super excited when he texted me and told me that he loved me for the first time. Because what better way to tell somebody you love them, than after fucking their best friend? And what kind of girl takes that back? I was young. Okay. But we're working through this. Okay. So yeah, you get kind of hooked in that, and it makes the chaos feel like it's worth it because you're chasing the next dopamine hit, and you're not really chasing that love. You're just chasing that high. That's it. Next, there's oxytocin. That's going to be your bonding hormone. This surges during cuddling, during sex, and during eye contact. We're bonded now. Okay, that was weird. So this is released during hugs and orgasms. I already said this. I literally already said this. Why is this dangerous in toxic relationships? Well, you bond even when it's bad. You bond even when they're hurting you. You bond especially during makeup sex. Oh my gosh. Abusers can activate this specifically during makeup sex or during fake tendernesses. Fake tendernesses like, I love you. I've never loved someone like this before. I love you so much. It hurts me. That's why I did that to you, because I just have so many issues and I'm scared. I'm so scared of what this could be. And I just did everything I could to just ruin it. And I love you, baby. Please give me another chance. And then I go, oh my God, he's really changed this time. And then I get back for them. And then guess what? They do it again. They do it again because that's what they do. Some people change, but not them. They fucking do that shit over and over again. And we would break up like every other month. And then that makeup sex, boom, I'd be right back. Blah, 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 blah. So it's not love, obviously. It's just biology. You're chemically attached, bitch. I'm like looking at myself in the mirror. When I look at myself, I'm looking this way. I don't know why. Oh, it's because my camera's to this side. Sorry, I thought I did some cool stuff. I thought that like, you know, like when you do this, if you're on Zoom, then it goes blah, blah, blah. Or like this on FaceTime. I thought I was going to do something, but it didn't do anything. I don't know what I thought this was. Anyways, getting back to it. Then there's the last one, which is serotonin. And serotonin is your mood stabilizer. And yeah, okay, the thing about serotonin is serotonin drops when you get into a new relationship. Doesn't matter who you are. It naturally just drops when you get into a new relationship and you become a little obsessive about this person. You can't stop thinking about them. You get a little anxious, maybe. You feel a little insecure. That is normal. That's normal for anything, any new love, any new relationship. You're like thinking like, does this person like me? How do they feel about me? And you just don't stop. But when you're in a healthy relationship, you know, that will stabilize, because then you'll be like, oh no, this person does like me and I like them and we're in a good thing. We have a good thing going. I know that they care about me. That's good. But if you're in a toxic relationship, you kind of stay low. You stay low on that, and you stay obsessing, and you stay anxious, and you stay needy, and I don't know, just like you're begging for that attention and they're not giving it to you. And you're all constantly thinking like, does this person actually like me? And you know that they don't. You know that they don't. You've been in this relationship for 5 years and you still are thinking they don't care about me. But you stay because like, I need you. I need you. And why does this matter? Well, I mean, who the fuck wants to feel like that? Who the fuck wants to feel like that? Yeah, your nervous system like goes on this like, it is constantly trying to fix things. It fixes things. It's like it wants to bring you back to homeostasis. It wants to make you feel normal again. So if you feel sad, you're going to do everything to make yourself feel better, which means you might be coddling this person or constantly forgiving them for things, you know, hoping that if you give them extra love, then maybe they'll know what love feels like, so then they can give you some love. Or like if you God, I feel sick talking about this stuff, but I don't know, like I feel like I forgave him for everything. Duh. But I completely neglected my own needs because I felt like if I gave him everything that he needs, then he'll finally give me what I need. To recap, dopamine gets you high, oxytocin keeps you loyal, and serotonin leaves you anxious and stressed and obsessed. And that's why when you get out of these relationships, it may feel like withdrawal. And me, yeah, I'm a crackhead for toxic love. And even though I don't do that anymore, I still sometimes am like, dang, but I miss that feeling. I miss that feeling. It's the roller coaster of emotions. And it's like, it's sad because the highs are so high, the lows are so lows. I think any addict will tell you that. But the highs are so high that that is like what you really, really remember about the relationships. And I had this narrative in my head to like, I would say 2 years ago. Like I've recently been working on this because I don't know, when I started dating, I was like, I have to really start diving into this or else I'm never going to get out of this cycle. And I had this thing I was like writing in my journal and I was like, I feel like I'm never going to find someone who loves me as much as my abuser loved me. That was this like narrative that I was telling myself that like, in order for it to be like good love, it has to be so intense. But love is not supposed to be that intense. It is supposed to feel like a nice joyride. There are highs and there's lows, but it's not super high highs and super low lows. It's stable. It's consistent. It's like predictable. It's predictable. It shouldn't be unpredictable. You shouldn't think like every time I don't know. It would be something as simple as like if I put on an outfit, like, is he going to be mad at me? But then if he did get mad at me, I'd be like, oh, it's so cute that he gets jealous. But then he would hit me because he'd be, and then I would never wear that again. But it was like, then we would have sex and then everything would be great again. And I'd be like, wow, this is really incredible. But it wasn't incredible. It was really fucking sad. And it took me getting out of that relationship to really understand that that was not it. But when I was in, you couldn't tell me. Nobody could tell me that something was wrong. Like people would, and I'd be like, you don't know him like I do. You don't understand him. Like he's been through a lot and I can handle this. But I couldn't handle it. And I almost broke down and fucking lost my mind. And I was doing that just because I was needing love and I was needing attention and I was needing validation. And it was all in the wrong places. And yeah, I'm going to return back to the psychology behind it. There's this thing called intermittent reinforcement. And that is basically like when you get rewards and they're delivered unpredictably, which is kind of what I was just talking about. It's the most addictive reward system, much stronger than if it was consistent love. And an example of this is last week they said that I was the love of their life and then they ghosted me for 3 days and now they're crying. I already gave this example. This is like my real life example. Now they're crying saying that I'm their soulmate. Maybe this is the real version of them. And I'm thinking like this attention is what I was wanting. I wanted this vulnerability from this person and I got it. And so that's the reward that's going off in my head. So then I'm confusing when someone does these bad things, but then after they do the bad thing, then they're vulnerable. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? So it's like they do this awful thing, but then after that follows that behavior that I've been wanting. So it was worth it. Ding, ding, ding. So that means I'm going to keep tolerating these bad things, because that means at the end of it, there is a good reward, which is the love and the attention and the vulnerability that I deserved in the first place without being hurt. And yeah, it's not fun. And it's really, I'm getting a little flustered when I'm like thinking about all of this, all these past histories. They're like stored way in the back of my head. And I've been going, I mean, my first episode or my second episode, I talked about my toxic relationship, and then here I am doing this one. And it's like, it's some deep stuff that I have not unpacked. I thought I've been unpacking it for like the past 2 years, but I really have not been unpacking it until like here on this, where I'm like just talking with no filter. Because I think when I talk to people about it, it's like, I don't want to embarrass myself. So I'll talk about it, but I'll like filter it a little bit, or I'll just talk about it to bond with another person who's also going through another thing. It's like, oh my God, girl, me and you, trauma sisters. But right here, I am really like diving in there to connect with the science of these things. To go, wow, okay, there wasn't something wrong with me. It was just the science. It was just what was going on in my body and my brain. And anyways, intermittent reinforcement it makes you think that the relationship is much deeper because it's so intense. That roller coaster of emotions. That is like literally what the roller coaster of emotions is the intermittent reinforcement. It teaches your brain to associate love with anxiety and uncertainty. It rewires your nervous system to seek chaos instead of peace. Because it mimics addiction, your brain releases dopamine every single time that they come back. And then we confuse that dopamine hit with passion. We think, oh my God, it's so passionate. Like, and then the last one, oh, I guess this is my last one, but I was going to say, like, my ex, me and him used to think that we were meant to be together because we kept coming back to each other after everything that we had gone through. Like, we were convinced that was true love. I mean, we are taught very, very young as women specifically that love is hard. It is so hard, and that you should forgive. And I grew up in a pretty Christian household, not in a Christian household, but in a Christian family. And it was just one of those things where you forgive for everything. That is what you do. I watched my mom forgive. Like, that's my man. And it doesn't matter what he does to you. It doesn't matter how he treats you. You go back, because when you're committed to a person, you're committed to them for life. And when you're in something that's super toxic, that shouldn't be what we're taught. You shouldn't have to forgive them. You give them one chance, and after that one chance, it's never again. Like, you don't have to tolerate these things, but we are just taught that, like, we see that in movies. The woman just ending her career and doing everything she can to make her husband happy. And yeah, it's not good. It's not good stuff. And I'm really, really sick of that being the way that we talk about love. Okay. So moving on, how do we become vulnerable to this? Well, of course, it'll start with like low self-worth and core wounds. And this happens at childhood. There's the 4 attachment styles. This is secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. And people who have more anxious or disorganized attachment styles are more likely to be in toxic dynamics. And there's so many tests on the internet that you can go to see what your attachment style, if you don't know what it is. But that's a good step to recognizing those are formed as a child from the parents that you have, and how they love you, and how you watch them love each other and treat each other. And then there's the cognitive dissonance. And this is described as the mental tension that arises when your beliefs don't match your reality. So for me, right, when I was in this toxic relationship, I was thinking like, I could never be in a toxic relationship. Like, that's just not, like, this is love. This is love. I mean, that's a stupid example, but another example is like, I believe they love me versus they just screamed at me and cheated on me. I would never go with the they just screamed at me and cheated on me. I was going with, no, they loved me. They loved me. They screamed and cheated at me because they loved me. Because like this is so hard for them and like they just don't know how to express love. So this is how they treat me. Or yeah, that they had a bad childhood. No. He's not a bad guy. He just had a bad childhood. And while that may be true, in this present moment, he's not being a great guy. Like, I don't like using the terms good and bad, right and wrong, because, you know, I think things definitely depend on the situation. But that's what we have to look at, is we have to look at the situation that we have had at hand in the present moment. He may not be a bad guy forever, but in this moment, yeah, I mean, he's not a great guy. Pray and hope that things change for him. But, you know, we have to get real with what's going on in this present moment. So that's cognitive dissonance. It's when your reality is not matching what you are believing is true. Yeah. Then we have trauma bonds. And trauma bonds is really the star of this show. Trauma bonds was coined by Patrick Carnes, and it forms when there's a cycle of abuse, manipulation, remorse, affection, fear, hope, and the victim is isolated, manipulated, or gaslit. The victim starts to depend on their abuser for validation and safety because your nervous system thinks surviving together equals love. So the more intense the lows are, the more the nervous system craves the high, kind of like we talked about, that boom, bam, bam. It's crazy. You start to like gaslight yourself thinking they're not that bad. Everything that we've been talking about. I'm being sensitive. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the problem. I would think like when they hit me, I'm like, oh, well, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have upset them. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. Instead of thinking like, no, what they did was wrong. They shouldn't have done that. It was all like, I took on all the personal, fuck, I'm really not good with words, but, responsibility. I took on the responsibility. Like it was all my fault. Everything was my fault. And, I mean, yeah. So you rationalize pain because leaving feels much scarier than staying. You're like, how am I going to do this without them? Especially if you have a low self-worth or unhealed childhood wounds. This is I'm not going to say likely to happen, but you're more at risk of forming these trauma bonds. And like in these relationships, I don't want to just keep repeating myself, but I guess it's worth repeating. It's like, you don't really know what is going on. You just know that you feel so intensely for this person. And if you feel if you're not able to love yourself, this is going to be better than having nothing. Like, I had this thought that I was unlovable, and that formed in my childhood. And so when I had this guy, maybe he wasn't giving me good love, but for me, that was love. And that was like attention. And I felt like I needed somebody. I wanted somebody to talk to, and I wanted somebody who would listen to me and who would pay me attention. And sure, he would get mad at me and upset, but at least he sees me. Those are what I was telling myself, because like first, I don't know, I couldn't see that in myself. I was a kid. I was going through a lot at home, and so much was riding on the line. And this relationship is what I thought was saving me, even though it was literally breaking me and hurting me and tearing me apart. Some signs that you're in a trauma bond is you're feeling guilty or anxious when you think about leaving that person, even when you know that they're hurting you. You miss them even though you were miserable together. You defend them to others and isolate yourself. You fantasize about their potential and not their reality. You feel like no one else will be able to understand you like they do. And you're trying to earn their love, like literally earn their love by being more understanding and forgiving and patient. Some tough shit. That's some tough shit. This isn't one of those episodes where I'm going to be like, I don't want this to be you need to recognize right now that you're in a relationship and you need to get out of that right now, bitch. Of course I want that for you, but I also know that it's so much more complex than that. And even just watching this, if you choose to, or doing your own research on what toxic relationships are and am I in a toxic relationship? Just doing that research can start helping opening you up to realize like maybe I am, and maybe this isn't love, and maybe there's more that I deserve, because we tell ourselves that like we only accept the love that we think that we deserve. And like if you think that you deserve this, you're going to stay in it. But if you want more, there is more out there. There's so many great guys out there. You just have to change your conditioning, and you have to start allowing yourself to accept that kind of love, because we receive it and it feels foreign. Like I can speak for myself. Like it feels like, I don't know, even in this relationship, when he would treat me good, I'd still be like, but something's coming, or what's the catch? I always thought that there was a catch. Like people can't just treat me good and love me, and I can't receive things without there being something in return that's going to hurt, or that I have to give. Like I don't want to owe anybody anything. And that's what I always felt like. If somebody did something nice for me, like I owed them something beyond my relationships, just in life. But that was just how I conditioned myself to think. Like love hurts, and it shouldn't. This love doesn't hurt. This love feels very soft and beautiful and loving. But I would not be able to be in this relationship had I not have done all the work that was necessary. And my last relationship, I put quotations marks around it because I wouldn't really call it a relationship, but my last thingy thing, he loved me deeply and he cared a lot for me, and he was a good guy. He loved me so much, but in that he loved me more than he loved himself. And I could see that. And I was like, and then when I realized I didn't want it, I was like, okay, bye. And I was like, okay, it's time for me to be celibate. And then I went on a celibate journey. They are driving fast. My celibate journey lasted up until I met my current boyfriend, but I was very intentional about who I was going to have sex with, because I bond heavy during sex. Hello, oxytocin. And I feel like every person I have sex with, I'm like, this is the love of my life. This is the person I'm going to be with forever. And I don't know, I get super clouded in my brain and I see nothing except for like they're like, and there's hearts and I get a little scatterbrain. So I found myself in this thing. It was a guy with a girlfriend. Gonna dump my business out there because that's what we're doing here. And we never had sex, but we kissed. That's how we really got to. We kissed, but I could still feel all those hormones going through my body, where I was feeling insecure and I was feeling anxious. I was obsessed with him, and he had a girlfriend. So he was always kind of like in and out with me. And I found myself back into that cycle of toxic. And that was not even a year ago. So all the work that I thought that I was like getting through, then I was right back in it. It was so easy for me to fall back into it. I'm like, why would I get into a relationship with a guy with a girlfriend? But he's telling me, oh, like, I want to be with you. But it's just like, that's kind of another thing where I'm talking about like those little toxic tendencies inside of me, where it's like, I crave, even though I don't want that, even though it's like hard for me. It's like, that was my default for so long. It's so easy for me to just get sucked right in there. But I'm glad I turned that one down, because I really, really, really am super happy in this relationship. And I just want to keep doing the work to make sure that I'm understanding what is going on, so I can be honest with him and I can be honest with myself, and we can work through these hard things together. And that was all I had to say for this episode. Being honest is hard. Being honest is really hard. But it feels good. It feels good to live in my truth and not pretend. So that's it, folks. Okay. Bye. But seriously, if if you're in a relationship and you just need to talk to somebody or anything, you can just reach out to me on social media. I would love to talk to the girlies about anything. And any help that I can give, any advice that I could give. I've been there. I've been through the ringer when it comes to toxic relationships. So I'm a girl's girl, baby. We can get through this shit together. Pew.